Hello everyone, and welcome to tonight's live stream. I hope that you are all doing well. Tonight we have some newer things to discuss, things that were just announced and talked about today. And I'm very excited because I know a lot of people have been waiting for some of these damn announcements for a very long time. But today we are going to discuss Shenmue 3, the review embargo. People that were receiving review copies could not actually release their reviews until 2 days after release date, which seems pretty suspicious. I wanted to discuss of course, Scarlett Johansson as Black Widow, expressing regret because Black Widow is a hyper-sexualized character and she blames men for that. Of course. Whenever you don't have a good excuse to be mad at something, you always blame the men, right? I also want to discuss the new Half-Life game, which was announced today. It's not quite Half-Life 3, but we'll get to that. It was just announced a little while ago, because it was actually leaked. Go figure, what isn't leaked? It's 2019. And I also wanted to discuss Marvel Comics, another problem with plagiarism. They have a couple of artists right now that are being accused of tracing fan models for one of their comic series. So that is what we are mainly going to discuss tonight. But yes, I will chat with you guys for a minute or two before we get into the topics. How are you all doing? I hope you're all doing well. Am I reading that right? No reviews until 2 days after launch? Yep. Technically, if you received a review copy, you are not supposed to release your review until 2 days after, which sounds pretty suspicious. It's very, how many games really, you're not allowed to release your review on review day, on release day, so sounds very suspicious. That was actually, a couple of people were talking about it yesterday, and this article is from yesterday. But we will talk about that in just a moment. How are you all doing tonight? I hope you guys are doing well. Your turn to launder the money. Damn it, you guys. You guys aren't supposed to be laundering money in chat. I told you guys don't do that anymore. Damn it, you're gonna get me in trouble. Shenmue 3 being kind of shady since the beginning, though? Yes. The situation with Shenmue 3 has been pretty bad since the beginning. We had the exclusivity stuff going on. The crowdfunding for it was kind of shady itself. Now we have this. I will get into the first topic, which will be Shenmue 3. Shenmue 3 launches next week. It technically launches tomorrow now. This was written yesterday. But Deep Silver has barred the gaming press from sharing their take on the game until 2 days after release. Now, we really don't ever hear about this happening. A company telling people that they're giving review codes to, you can't review the game until a couple of days after the launch. Because what are reviews for? You're supposed to have reviews for launch day so people know what they're purchasing and the product that they're getting. With the whole situation surrounding Shenmue 3, this isn't completely surprising, but at the same time it is, because you would expect them to not tell people they couldn't launch their reviews. We've heard quite a bit about the world of review embargo in recent weeks, but nothing quite prepared us for Deep Silver's latest move. Shenmue 3 launches next week on November 19th, which is tomorrow, but the developer has barred the gaming press from sharing their take on the 2 decades in the making title until 2 days after release on November 21st. You read that correctly. The embargo doesn't lift until the game has been in the hands of gamers for 2 days. We've grown accustomed to reviewing restrictions lifting a few hours before release, as we recently saw with Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, but Shenmue 3 scrambles to new heights. The heads up comes from VG247's Kirk Nad, who shared the news via Twitter. Shenmue 3 release date November 19th. Shenmue 3 review embargo November 21st. That's a new one. Now, what the article does say does seem legitimate. It does seem legitimate. The natural assumption is that Deep Silver expects a generally negative response from critics and want to ensure sales before the reviews pile in. That is honestly what I was thinking. Why would you go out of your way to tell reviewers, if we gave you a code, you cannot review it until a couple of days after launch? Your mind would, in the first place, kind of go to the fact that they're afraid of negative press, and rightly so. They have received a lot of negative press over this game so far. We started out with a very shady crowdfunding. The very beginning started out with that. The game was delayed several times. A lot of people didn't even think that the game was coming. Then they pulled the exclusivity, trick or scam out of their hats, with saying that it's an exclusive and trying to not give people refunds if they wanted them, trying to tell people you get what you get. And this doesn't really surprise a lot of people at this point because they've made so many bad moves. Now, you would think it's almost launch day, it's almost release day. Why are they giving themselves just that last push of bad press? Because you know people are going to talk about this. You know that this is just another piece of bad news for gamers that were excited for the situation, and for the game. It's just disappointing to hear that Deep Silver has kind of ruined the Shenmue experience for a lot of people. I personally didn't support crowdfunding. I didn't purchase it. It's a game that I will wait on. But if I was someone that was very excited for this game, I would have been really disappointed. While it's easy to pick holes at the strategy for being overly cynical, the controversy-plagued led up to release may have prompted the decision. I mean, it's not... At the same time, I don't think that I feel like that's not the reason. Now, it is pretty easy to see that it could be the reason, that they're just trying to not get negative press last minute for those last minute purchasers for those couple of release days. But you know that people that didn't receive a review code, that are just reviewing it on their own, you know that they're just going to put up their videos and they're just going to discuss it because it's important. When I purchase a game, I like to look at reviews. Obviously, a lot of people like to look at reviews. It helps you know the product that you are receiving. And especially with a game like this and a title like this where there's been so much of that negativity, you don't know what to expect. We have seen quite a bit of footage from in-game. We have seen quite a bit of, gameplay, but realistically, this game is supposed to be so long, we really don't have a lot of information on it when you really think about it, so... I mean, it doesn't help that the delays are synonymous with Shenmue 3. The game was initially slated for release in December 2017 before it was pushed back to late 2018 due to the expansion of the game's scope. In May 2018, the developer once again delayed Shenmue 3, this time till 2019, before confirming a launch date of August 27th, 2019, later that year. Fast forward to June this year, and Deep Silver once again postponed the release to its final date of November 19th, 2019. I personally wasn't even sure if this game was going to launch. You hear so many situations like this one about games being delayed, and, we're holding it off by a couple weeks, we're holding it off by a couple of months. You never know what to expect because your hopes just slowly trickle downwards. When you're excited for a game, hearing once that it is delayed, it upsets you, but you get over it. Hearing it twice, okay, you might feel a little bit more put off. Hearing it 4 times, though, and even more than that, it turns you off from the game. And I feel like a lot of people's excitement for this game did, unfortunately, go down the drain because of this situation. And then, this article doesn't mention it, and then, of course, we had exclusivity, where they said the game's going to be an exclusive to the Epic Games Store, and then all of that happened, and then they were trying to not refund people. when it came to the game, they said, you know what, you purchased it on the PC platform. You didn't purchase it on Steam or Epic, so just because we're moving it to Epic really doesn't matter, when in reality, they did specify it was supposed to be on Steam, so then they did allow people refunds, but if you had, during that, switched it from PC to, like, the PlayStation 4 because you didn't think you were going to receive it on Steam, then they told people, well, even if you got it on PlayStation 4 now, you can't go back and switch it to PC, even if you can receive it on the platform you want. There was just so much negativity around this release, so we'll have to see how it is. Again, I'm not purchasing it on release day. I'm probably not going to play it for a little while. This is definitely a game I will wait for. This is a game that I would love to see some reviews on. This is a game I would judge based on reviews, even though I myself sometimes do reviews. But it just doesn't leave a good taste in your mouth when it comes to Shenmue 3. Do you think Metroid Prime 4 will receive a similar fate? I think, see, it's kind of difficult to say because I want to say that I'm worried about, like, Metroid Prime 4, and I would worry about its existence, but at the same time, I'm just looking at this based on Deep Silver, because really it's Deep Silver that's done all of this. I mean, it's not Sony, it's not anyone else affiliated with the project. It's hard to say, but it's disappointing to hear that we have one problem after another when it comes to this game. And unfortunately, we're at launch day and a lot of people don't have reviews up, or we're almost at launch day, because they've told people you can't put your reviews up. Like I said, of course, there are people I'm sure that purchased it and, received it today and will receive it tomorrow and will end up putting their reviews up. But when you're given a review code for something, like, say, if you were given a review code for Shenmue 3, you're not going to break their date. You're not going to say, well, other people are putting their dates up on release day, and even though you told me I can't have it up for a couple more days, you're not going to break that because you were lucky enough to receive a code for the game. So you're going to respect that, even though people that freely bought it could put up their reviews first. So that's all we really know with Shenmue 3 now. We are almost at launch day. Tomorrow is launch day. If any of you are in the chat are purchasing it, please let me know. I am curious to know. It is a game that I was interested in at first, but after, so much negative press, I decided I'd stay away from it for now. Doesn't mean I won't play it at some point. I will play it eventually, just not yet. Hello Invader, hello Devin. Wonder if I can send my money directly and skip all the epic middlemen, then pirate the game. Wow. This is the first day I've heard of Deep Silver's. This shadiness common for them or rarity? Deep Silver has had some problems in the past. They are not a clean company. They have had some controversy surrounding them before. This definitely takes the cake, though. I feel like this takes the cake for a lot of companies, though. Because to this length, you don't hear about situations to this length, like one situation after another situation. You really only hear about that with companies like EA. Let's be honest. Usually after, like, one mistake, they fix their shit, they listen to fans, and that's it. But with this situation, it's been problem after problem after problem. So, the game is finally launching. I hope that if you purchased it or you were excited for it, I hope that you enjoy it. Obviously, it has been a very long ride to get to this point, but I do hope that people do enjoy the game. I hope that it doesn't release and it's a disappointment to people. That's the worst, is when you wait years for something and then it releases and you're just disappointed. That's just the worst thing that could happen, and I really hope that doesn't happen. I just really hope that doesn't happen for people. That would be pretty damn disappointing. That seems so odd, so little advantage for the average reviewer. Right, like, if you are an average reviewer, you have sort of an advantage. It's not like a large one. It's not like you're given special content or special information. You're just You have that freedom. And I suppose that comes with receiving a product for free. You know, it's great to not be able to pay for a product. It's great to be able to review it and give your unbiased thoughts on it. But as an average reviewer, you can do that too. But you are at the whim of the company giving it to you. Even if they obviously can't tell you you have to review it positively or negatively, you're still at the whim of them saying, well, this is when you can publish your review using the product that we gave you. So it is what it is. The game launches tomorrow. I'm excited to see everyone's review on it. I'm sure that, you know, there are already reviews out there, and by tomorrow we'll see many more reviews. But yeah, that's all we have with Shenmue 3. Hopefully from now it sells well. People really enjoy it. If you backed it, you get it, and you love it, and it's what you wanted, and it's not disappointing. Hello, Kyoji. How are you doing? I hope you're having a fantastic night. None of that Sony baloney. Yeah, right? Sony. I don't know. Sony's been quiet lately, and that's not good. When Sony's quiet, that's not good. Then again, when any company's quiet, it's not good. I mean, look at the Atari VCS. I mean, they're silent all the time, and look at the shit show that's going on with that. I mean, Stadia, I mean, they weren't necessarily quiet with Stadia, but they were withholding a lot of information that they probably had like 2 months ago. They probably had a lot of the launch information, and they decided to hold it back until like just a couple of days before launch. So, I mean, unfortunately, every company has that shady side to them. You're never going to get a company that's amazing that, like, doesn't do something slightly shady during the process of, like, releasing a game. We see it all the time. We see it with large companies, with small companies, indie developers, large developers. There's always problems that could be out of their control, but could also be in their control, and they could inform consumers, but they don't because they're worried that it'll hurt their bottom line. I've gotten tons of Stadia ads. I have as well. I have gotten a ton of Stadia ads. I discussed the Stadia today in a video. Again, I know I've been discussing it a lot, but we are coming up on the launch. If you guys did not see that, make sure to check it out after the live stream. Gender neutral controllers, everyone. Me and my tiny woman hands. We're starting a revolution. 0 Stadia ads. I've gotten a lot of Stadia ads, to be honest. I mean, I'm not buying it. Ads? What are those? They're these things. They're magic things that get you to buy products. Who could have imagined? But alright. We now are going to move into getting rid of the Twitch ad. Scarlett Johansson just having to say something dumb again. When it comes to these damn Marvel stars, I swear, they're always saying something dumb. And it's always the females. I'm sorry. Black Widow star Scarlett Johansson expresses regret being hyper-sexualized, and she's blaming men. When you don't have anyone good to blame, just blame men. Why not? It's not like they don't get blamed for things they don't do every day. Just throw it into the pile. Black Widow star Scarlett Johansson joining fellow actresses, some of the many actresses that are in Marvel movies and whatnot, at the Hollywood Reporter's Oscar Actresses Roundtable, where she expressed regret of becoming typecast as hyper-sexualized. Johansson answered a question from the Hollywood Reporter's Becca Ford. Ford asked, "I'm curious how important for all of you to shift what people expect of you based on your choices." Johansson responded, "So it's different now. The climate is so different now. There are so many wonderful opportunities for women of every age to play all different types of people." That's what acting is. If you fit in the role, you have a chance to play the role, and if you don't have a chance to play in a role, you don't play in the role. I feel like that's what acting is. She then recounts how she felt she got typecast when she was in her early 20s. I feel when I was working in my early 20s and even in my late teens and early 20s, I felt that I got somewhat typecast. I was very hyper-sexualized. The Oscar winner would go on to say at the time, it seemed okay, but it wasn't who she was. Instead, she felt it was a narrative created for her by some men. Ladies and gentlemen, she doesn't like being sexualized. A pretty woman doesn't like being sexualized. Don't think she's pretty, or she's gonna send the thought police after you. I guess at the time seemed okay to everyone. It was another time, even though it wasn't part of my own narrative. It was kind of crafted for me by probably a bunch of dudes in the industry. We'll get to Black Widow in a minute. And I guess that worked then. It was really difficult for me to try to figure out how to get out of being an ingenuine or another woman, because it was never anything I had intended. Johansson even detailed she thought of looking for a different job in the film industry. I remember thinking at the time, maybe I need a different job in this industry that should sort of be more fulfilling, because there seemed to be nowhere to go. When you're a pretty woman, you're going to get casted for pretty woman jobs. I'm just saying. When you're a pretty woman, you're going to be cast in specific roles, and that's not bad. I don't think that's bad at all. They think that you have potential to play a specific role, and I really want to look at Black Widow for a moment here, because she is talking about when she played as Black Widow. Black Widow first appearance. Black Widow first appearance. She obviously, when she went into being Black Widow, she obviously didn't research the role at all. She is playing... Black Widow is a femme fatale. Being sexy is part of that role. Being sexy and dangerous is many female comic book characters' stereotype. It's their stereotype. They're sexy and they're dangerous. That's just part of the character, though. And if she's complaining about that being Black Widow, well, Black Widow is a character that's older than she is. She didn't do her research and just... I want to say probably didn't understand, because it's difficult, because Black Widow was never a character that had like a main role in a movie, but she should have done that research. It has been, it's just the stereotype when it comes to femme fatales, and it has been that way since comics were first written, and it's not abnormal. She obviously just didn't do her research for the part, and that isn't necessarily bad. This is the type of character that she's playing, and she's lucky. She's lucky that she can even play these types of characters. There's not a lot of women that have the looks to be able to be these type of characters. I mean, if you look at Brie Larson and Scarlett Johansson are very different looking women, and you can obviously tell which one is the prettier of the two. Like, you should feel grateful that people looked at you and went, you are perfect for this role. Sexy sells, and that's a problem. That's a problem that I feel like everyone forgets now. All of these people complaining that characters are sexualized, female characters are always sexualized. Sexy sells, and sexy has sold for forever. You see ads for food and for clothes and just for products in general, and it's always a sexy woman because it sells. Especially in something like a movie that is based off of a comic series or a comic book character, because that's the she's a femme fatale. That's the comic book female stereotype. She's supposed to be dangerous and sexy at the same time. The experience not only garnered her a Tony Award for her performance, but it would be the catalyst she needed to change how she thought of her career. She's won so many awards being Black Widow. It's not like she went into this role and was disgustingly mistreated. It's not like she was disgustingly underpaid. It's not like she was being, like, abused during her job. She's angry that you look at her on screen and go, wow, that's one sexy woman. No. Thought police are coming after you. It totally reset my way of thinking about how I could work and the different kinds of opportunities that could be available to me. It's amazing how theater is limitless. Even though it was terrifying, it was liberating because I actually felt like every night I had the opportunity to change the narrative. And of course, you can catch her new movie, which will be releasing on May 1st, 2020. I honestly think that the movie's going to do well. And I think that the movie is going to do well because she's always played a good character. Even though she said these things. Even though she's blaming guys for being a sexualized character and all this, she still does play the role well. Granted, I don't particularly think... hot take. I don't think she's that hard of a character to play. Because most of her scenes are action. She has very few talking scenes and very few emotional scenes. But with the scenes that she is in, I think that she plays the character well, and I do like her playing the role. She has the looks, she has the personality. She's not a bad actress. I think that her movie will do fine, and I am excited to see what they do with her. That's the problem with movies, is that the movie could be great, but you have the actors and actresses kind of ruining it behind the scenes. Like Captain Marvel, a lot of people thought that the movie itself wasn't awful. I don't think it was good, but I don't think it was the worst movie I've ever seen. Another hot take. I know, lots of hot takes tonight. But I don't... That's the problem, is that you see people like Brie Larson ruining it if you follow any of the industry, and that's the problem. It's like a video game. When a company messes up so many times, the excitement dies with the movie, and then you won't go to watch it, and you won't be excited for it anymore. So Scarlett Johansson is just mad at the men again. Always blame men if you don't have anyone else to blame. It's a shame. It's a shame. Rest in peace, men. F in chat for men. I feel bad. Well, then again, you just throw it into the pile. But when it comes to Black Widow, it's not like she jumped into it and it was a brand new character that they changed last minute. Black Widow has been a character for longer than she has been alive, and she could have done just a little bit of research. And if she didn't want to play the obviously very sexy femme fatale character, she could have always declined the role. But she wouldn't ever admit to the fact that she could have declined the role because it's made her so much money. And it has gotten her a lot of different roles and things. Yeah, F. Big F. There's also the chance that this is a publicity stunt. I don't necessarily think that this is a publicity stunt, because I feel like when you are blaming the majority of people that would watch your product, like your movie, I just don't think that this is a publicity stunt. And she's also said things like this in the past. This isn't the first thing that she's kind of blamed men for the poor me. People look at me and think I'm a sexualized character and look at me and all that. Like, she's made comments before. But so many actors do now. So many actresses do now. Captain Marvel is supposed to be a man, not a woman. Carol Danvers is a female and does currently carry the Captain Marvel mantle. She only started complaining about it after her run as the character is over. Exactly. During her first couple of roles, I mean, she didn't really say anything, but when it came towards, like, Endgame, like, she started making comments. It's just, she wants to seem like this strong, independent woman that doesn't need a man, but you need men to sell your movie, because a large demographic of who's going to watch your movie, I have a secret to tell you, is men. I mean, I don't see any Marvel movies in theaters anymore, not just because of the actors and actresses, but I don't really watch them in theaters anymore. Her movie, the Black Widow movie, is supposed to release in May 2020. Who knows if they will stick to that or if they will hold that off. But I guess we'll have to see. I mean, it's exciting to see comic book characters brought to life, but it's not exciting when the people playing the comic book characters ruin their performance by making side statements like this. I don't know. To me, this is the same as Brie Larson going, "Men don't watch my movie." I don't necessarily think so, because Scarlett Johansson hasn't made as many statements as Brie Larson has, and you just have to look at, like, the extreme that both have went to. Brie Larson went to a very big extreme to tell men to fuck off. Scarlett Johansson hasn't really, but it just sounds like she's slowly been leaning that way after she knows her roles are going to be over. Black Widow could have been played by most. My hot take is that I think that she plays the role well, but I don't think it's a hard role to play. I mean, I'm not an actress, so I don't know how hard it is, but 90% of the time that you see her on screen, it's her stunt double. So, like, she does a great job at, like, the 10% of the time that she's actually on screen. Like, she does decent for that 10%. Marvel's never, ever gonna invite me to a premiere of one of their movies. Brie is also going to be the face of the next wave of Marvel movies. Yeah, even though we haven't heard about Captain Marvel 2 at all. We haven't heard that much about Little Miss Brie Larson. We haven't heard much about her. Alright, the next topic is something that was just announced today. I don't know. Valve has confirmed the next Half-Life game. But it's not what you would expect. Now, everyone for years has been asking for the next Half-Life game. Where is Half-Life 3? When is it going to be a thing? Is it going to exist soon? And a lot of people were waiting for that. But what you weren't waiting for was Half-Life VR. The thing that most people don't use as VR, and I don't really know if a new Half-Life game will sell VR. So there were leaks a couple of days ago, supposed leaks from the Game Awards show, and some, just game shows, that there were supposedly supposed to be slots for Half-Life announcements. And this is what was leaked, and today it was confirmed, because they figured there's been so many damn leaks over the past couple of days, we might as well just announce it and try to keep the excitement alive on our own terms. So I am going to read the original story first and then the update. This November 19th will mark the 21st anniversary of the release of the original Half-Life, and according to rumor, it will also be when Valve announces a flagship virtual reality game, the next Half-Life game. I don't know if it's Alyx. I think it's Alyx is how you say it. ALYX. I'm just going to call it Alyx. I could be saying it wrong. Valve are rarely interested in celebrating their own games as anniversaries, so take this rumor with a mouthful of salt. Well, it is confirmed now, so we will read the update in just a second. The source is apparently the same leaker responsible for the Dota Underlords leak, and is quoting from an interview between Jeff Knightley in his capacity as the creator of the Final Hours documentary about Valve games, Robin Walker, and an unnamed third person. March 2020, Half-Life Alyx coming out, he said in a transcript, responding to the question of whether this game would be available for players without VR headsets. I mean, we would love to be delivering a version of this that you could play with a mouse and keyboard, but like as we said, it began as an exploration of VR. As for how this entirely hypothetical game would play, which isn't hypothetical anymore, the only clue is this statement. You can see their whole body respond to the situation. You know, panicking, dropping clips on the ground as they fumble their weapon, because the zombie's in front of them. All these things, it's been really fun watching playtests. So we know, because it's confirmed, that it actually is, I don't want to say done, but it definitely has a lot of substance to it if the leak was for March 2020 and it's already November, and they're already playtesting the game. Now, this is the first update. According to a new transcript of the leak interview, it will be shown at the Game Awards on December 12th, and this, again, there's been like 3 transcripts leaked at this point. And then they announced today, it's official, Half-Life Alyx is happening. Valve's long-awaited flagship VR game will be revealed to the world at 10 a.m/1 p.m. ET on November 21st. 3 days, you guys. This tweet comes from a relatively new account created June 2019 with a small number of followers, and this is actually its first tweet. It's also odd that Valve would make such a big announcement over a channel that so few people were paying attention to. I honestly think that they wanted to hold off on the announcement because they want that shock factor to be there in a couple of days. But it is verified and the tweet has been retweeted by a few Valve folk, so we're confident it's legit. A new communications channel for a new kind of Valve, maybe. And this was their announcement, Valve. From Valve Software, we're excited to unveil Half-Life, our flagship VR game, this Thursday at 10 a.m. Pacific time. And that is all that we really know about it. We, unfortunately, for a few more days, do not know any information. Of course, probably next week's discussion stream on Monday, I will probably go through the gameplay if we get gameplay, or at least talk about the announcement. But I'm curious what they're going to do in 3 days. What is in 3 days? That's, alright, so that's Thursday. So on Thursday, I'm curious to know if they will give gameplay, if they will just give, like, a logo, if they will actually be announcing a lot. Who really knows? Because it's Valve. They could literally just put out like a 30-second trailer and just say the name of it and like officially announce it. For the people that don't know about it, just to kind of have that 30-second video to slap on the front pages of their websites, which a lot of companies do. But I guess only time will tell. We will not know until Thursday. I personally am kind of on board with a lot of people. Now, I'm not someone that's been waiting for Half-Life 3. I'm not someone that, like, every time, like, game announcements comes around, I'm ready. Like, I am ready to kick ass for a Half-Life 3. I think that the idea has always sounded cool. I've enjoyed Half-Life. But I'm with most people here that I think 99% of people weren't expecting a VR game, and I think about 80% of those people didn't want a VR game. I personally don't play VR. I have no interest in picking up VR, the whole setup for VR for one specific game. And I think that's what they're going to want, is that they're going to hope that VR sells and it gets more people interested in it because of this game. I just think that that's the problem with it. VR is the bestest. I don't think a lot of people like VR. it never really took off the way that I'm sure these companies wanted it to. And I don't necessarily think that that's bad. I think that they wanted to release it a couple years before they thought people were really going to be interested in it. We've heard that VR games, it takes a long time to develop games for VR, which understandably so. But I just don't think this is what people wanted. And I think that, yes, they are going to have a huge amount of people that would purchase it, but I don't think that it is to the extent of a Half-Life 3 or just the next Half-Life game. I think that this isn't going to really be like the Half-Life 3 that people want. This is just like a side game in the series. Maybe they are working on Half-Life 3. Maybe this is to excite people for it, and in 2 years we will receive Half-Life 3 or whatever the name of it is going to be, and this is just to fuel people's excitement. But I just don't see it here. I just don't see it here. But that's just me. Let me check chat. A VR game releasing the same month, Doom Eternal, 2 Cyberpunk 2077. Oh, yeah, definitely. That's also a problem, is when it's releasing. If it's releasing then. The leak said that it was supposed to be releasing in March 2020, but this isn't confirmed, and I don't think it would be good if they released it in March. We have Cyberpunk, we have Doom Eternal, there are so many games, so I hope for their sake they hold it off by a month or release it a month earlier, because I think that it would sell even worse during that month because there's so many big games coming out, but that's just the leak for now, but it's probably true since all the other information's true. Half-Life 3 has taken longer than Duke Nukem Forever at this point. Even if it comes out, will never live up to a shred of the hype. I agree. I think that they will still release something like a Half-Life 3, and I think that people would still be excited. But it has been so long that I don't think it's going to sell the way they want it to. Very true on Mountain. I read Half-Life, new half, in the title. Gotcha. Love your channel, by the way. It's very informative. Thank you. I'm glad that you enjoyed the channel. I do my best to be informative and to give everyone information that they might find interesting and that other people do not discuss often enough. Vera, how are you? I am doing good. I hope that you guys are doing well. Everyone in chat, I hope you guys are doing good. I'm the most important guy here. Grizz, 20 out of 10 for sure. So many hot takes tonight. I have a lot of hot takes tonight. Just blame the men for my hot takes. We always blame men anyway. That's what Scarlett Johansson does. Even joking about blaming the men isn't even that funny. It's kind of painful. I want at least one cold take tonight. I don't know. Damn it. I was trying to figure something out real quick. I don't really like Valve. And I think that 70% of people don't. How about that? Seems pretty good. All right. On to the final topic for the night. It's always got to be something about plagiarism, right? I feel like plagiarism, it's not great. I was going to say it's great, but I don't even want to be sarcastic. I've honestly never played a Valve game and have no interest in them. How many first-party Valve games are there, really? I'm curious. You have to ask yourself that. I mean, we have, like, Team Fortress and Half-Life and Portal. Like, that's the real question. Hello, Freezer. How are you doing? I hope that your night's going well. I will chat with you guys for a moment before we get into the last topic of the night. But, I mean, when it comes to Valve games, that's also a question you have to ask. Half-Life, Team Fortress, and Portal. Well, there's like 37 Half-Life spin-offs. I'd say about 42, yeah. I'm doing okay, and you? Doing pretty good. No new ideas, just reformats of existing ones? Yeah, I mean, so many companies do that, though. All right, time to get into the last topic of the night, which is an unfortunate one. Very quickly before we do, if you guys have not already, please make sure to give the stream a like if you enjoy. Of course, a dislike if you don't. Consider supporting the channel via Patreon and becoming a Dark Titan, or donating to the live stream. A notification will pop up. Self-shill. Marvel Comics Star Wars Allegiance series accused of tracing fan models for Mon Calamari fleet artwork. This has happened a lot of times when it comes to Star Wars comics. Not just Star Wars comics, but Marvel comics in general. But you can't necessarily just blame Marvel comics, because it happens with any form of art now, unfortunately. If you create something, someone's probably going to copy it, if it is slightly popular. Or you have to constantly be down your artist's throats because they'll trace something because they don't know how to draw. They don't know how to art. Eagle-eyed readers of the last Star Wars Allegiance issue... Oh, I was interrupted.
Guess I haven't donated in a bit. Have a tenner.
Thank you for the $10 donation, Rhett. I very much so appreciate it. You are a top donator and top dominator of the night. Someone donate $11 to beat Rhett. Let me restart. Eagle-eyed readers of the last Star Wars Allegiance issue noticed that a panel featuring Mon Cala fleet barred a striking resemblance to models created by Star Wars Miniatures fan creator, leading some to accuse series artist Luke Ross of plagiarism. Now, there's not a lot of instances of plagiarism that a lot of people catch. And that's the thing, is that plagiarism happens so damn often, yet it's not caught a lot of the time. So when it gets caught, everyone's shocked, because you obviously did a really damn poor job. Because you literally just copied it. You literally just plagiarized it. I hate to say it, but it's not hard to switch up something that you plagiarized. And I'm not saying you should. Fuck no. But there's so many people that have gotten so good at it that no one ever figures it out. In the fourth and final issue of the Star Wars Allegiance miniseries, Leia Organa, Rey, and Rose Tico convinced the Mon Calamari people to join the Resistance's fight against the First Order. After agreeing to assist the Resistance, Mon Calamari General flies a suicide mission to distract a planetary blockade established by the First Order and allow for the Mon Calamari fleet to and escape into hyperspace. A panel scene during this escape depicting the entirety of the fleet provided was accused of being directly traced from models created by the owner and artist of Mel Miniatures, who specializes in 3D printed models for use in the Star Wars Miniatures tabletop game. I am not the one to stir up controversy and blame Disney/Lucasfilm for everything, but this is disgusting. I didn't like the ending of this for 2 reasons, and now I hate it more. Lucasfilm needs to fire and hire better freelance comics artists. Notably, various ships seen in the drawing of the fleet, such as A-Wings, X-Wings, and transport cruisers, features pegs, which are only featured in the miniature models as a means for the model to stand freely during gameplay. So the things that they copied weren't even legitimate. They didn't even know what they were, basically. You can tell. They didn't even know what they were copying. The creator of the original model eventually took note of the similarities, but was not upset by the alleged tracing of his models, noting that he did not mind this at all and personally found it awesome. I do understand that people do feel very humbled by this, because someone is looking at your work of art. We'll call these models works of art because that's what they are. And they're copying them. And people feel like humbled by that, but you shouldn't. This is not okay. It's not okay to do. And I understand this artist feels, you know, like it's cool and that someone acknowledged him. But that's not the way that they saw it. They copied your work because they're lazy fucks that don't know how to actually do their damn job. If you're an artist, you should know how to create original artwork. I mean, if, let's say something like this happened, say I was someone that could create models like this and someone plagiarized it, I wouldn't be angry, but I wouldn't find it awesome. And for the person that called it out and said, I'm not one to stir up controversy and blame Disney and Lucasfilms, it's not really their fault. They don't look over the shoulders of all of their artists. Their artists are told to do something and they do it. Yes, situations like this happen. You can't blame them because it's independent writers and artists. So you can't be mad at them for something that one of their workers did. But it's not okay. He did continue to say they shouldn't do it, but I personally, about my work specifically being traced, I don't mind. I really, really thank you for finding out because I had seen that panel and I hadn't noticed that it was my own image. I think that he's playing it off in a very calm manner because he knows this is going to get him exposure. It sucks, but when something bad happens to you, it's free exposure. It really is. So he might not be bothered by it, but he knows that he's going to get more people following him and people following his work because of the situation. He's an opportunist, okay? He's an opportunist. Marvel has had has had numerous issues with tracing in its Star Wars titles, specifically in its main title. This has happened, unfortunately, for a long time. Marvel has always, like it says, has had a lot of problems with this. With tracing. I mean, you look at some of the comic series, and they're literally just traces of, like, iconic movie moments, like Han Solo standing, Leia, like, just very iconic moments that you see and you already know what they are. But Marvel has not publicly commented on it. The artist that created this and plagiarized this these models has not commented on it. I personally hope that someone issues an apology statement. I would like to go back and look at this artist's work and see if they've plagiarized before. It's not very easy to do. I personally expect them to be scrutinized over the next couple of months and people to really look into their artwork, because there are people that are very good at doing that. So I would expect to see more plagiarism instances come out, honestly, about this artist. But I don't want to say that necessarily because it could be the first time that they've done it. But if they are an industry veteran and they've been working for Marvel for a long time, they've probably done it before. But that is all we know right now. I hope that someone issues a statement, an apology statement to the person that they ripped off, but I doubt it. But that is all that I had to discuss tonight, you guys. I will sit in the chat with you guys for a couple of minutes if there's any questions or comments you would like to make. But if you were here for the content, that is the end of the topics for tonight. I hope you all enjoyed. That's tantamount to me going, hey guys, I came up with this cool story named Star Wars with a Z. I mean, seems legitimate, yeah. You should do it. You should do it. Wonder how much you can get for 1/9 of a panel. They should get some royalties. It's difficult because I don't know what. I would say that they should, but I honestly don't know how it would work. I don't know if they would or not. I mean, I think they deserve compensation completely. I do. I just don't know in what form. I mean, yeah, they are getting free publicity and free press to anyone that knows the situation. Thank you, Tony, for the $10.02. I don't know why the text-to-speech didn't go through. But of course, he just said go to thegeekgetaway.com. Thank you for the $10.02, though. You are top donator. You beat Rhett by 2 cents. Rhett, donate 3 cents. FanArt talking like I can't get away with Star Wars. Watch me, lady. Do it. I'll support you. I'll support any endeavors you guys go on, as long as it's not related to drugs. I'll support you. What's with this gender-neutral controller? I still don't get it. I did discuss it in a video today, if you did not see, but basically, they, for the Stadia, decided to pick gender-neutral colors for the controller. And they also made the controller smaller for underappreciated gamers, in amounts of gamers, segments of gamers, female gamers, basically what they're saying, that are underappreciated. Because apparently females are underappreciated in the gaming industry. I did discuss it in a video, though. Stadia, guys. Vera Dark is a straight-laced YouTuber, no drugs for her. Well, I should say nothing illegal. I'm not interested in that. Well, that would tell YouTube that I'm not a kid-friendly channel, so... I mean, maybe it could work out in my favor. I mean, I'm not monetized, so I can't be demonetized. Isn't black gender neutral? Apparently not. Apparently black and white aren't gender neutral, but wasabi green is a gender neutral color, guys. I would honestly prefer to just have like a black or white controller. I don't do color controllers, but that's just me. I'm just a woman. What's my opinion worth? She always makes deals worse for me. Why don't they just have 2 different size controllers if they want to be inclusive? You're trying to be inclusive by excluding people with big hands. What the fuck, Google? I'm disappointed. Inclusivity by exclusivity doesn't work. It's an all or nothing thing, baby. Jeez. You're not a kid-friendly channel? Since when? I talk about censorship in boobs. I don't necessarily know if that's kid-friendly. To be fair, so the first demographic for YouTube is ages 13 to 17, and I have a 0% ages 13 to 17 demographic. I have 0%, so I think I'm good. There's a set of Joy-Cons that are green and pink. I don't see gender. I see Cosmo, Wanda, TARDIS. I like where your head's at. I agree. I agree. 13 to 17, this chat's nothing but old ass guys. Hey, I'm here. Look, I just typed in chat. Targeted harassment towards women. His and hers controllers, I can just hear the I mean, I don't think it would necessarily be bad if they made a slightly larger and a slightly smaller controller. As a female, I've never had problems where I pick up a controller and go, wow, this thing's too bulky for my small, fragile, feminine hands. I just play a video game. I really don't think it's that big of an issue, but if they want to create a smaller controller, I'm all for that. But have a smaller controller and a larger controller. Be inclusive. If you're gonna be inclusive, be inclusive. Just do it. If you're gonna be inclusive, be inclusive. Don't toot your own damn horn. Just get over yourself and do it. Right? Is that just me? I'm a zoomer, not a boomer. Jeez. Google marketing team, control her. Oh, that's a pretty good one. Question, as a woman, have you ever held the original Xbox controller? The one before the S? What do you mean the S controller? Like the original Xbox? Yeah, I've held that bitch. She's thick, but I like it. I always liked the original Xbox controller because it just was sturdy. It's not a cheap piece of garbage, like everything else is. I mean, the Xbox 360 controllers are literally cheap pieces of garbage. I've gone through like so many of them, and I don't drop my controllers. I don't throw my controllers at computer screens when I die. They're just cheap pieces of plastic. I felt like the original Xbox controllers were great. They were high quality. And yeah, I think the Xbox One X controllers, like the Elite controllers, are good. They're really high quality. But I'm not buying one for $200. I could go buy a Switch Lite for that price. I could give the gift of games to a child in need and not buy your shit controller for $200. It's so expensive. That is such a high price for quality that should be given to everyone that's purchasing a $70 controller or a $60 controller. I just, I don't hate new controllers. I don't think they're big and bulky. I think they're pretty good. I personally think that the Stadia controller looks too small. I think it looks kind of cheap. But I'm someone that would rather pay for something and get quality. I would rather spend like $70 on a controller and get quality that's going to last me, but that's not what they want. They want you to have to buy new controllers because you break them. I mean, unfortunately, that's just the way it works for them. The only thing that has happened to it was a small scratch. Oh yeah, like Game Boys and Game Boy Advances, those things are tough. Those things are tough. They are. That's weird. My 360 controllers were the only ones that lasted me forever. My 360 controllers never lasted me. I have never replaced controllers the way that I had to replace 360 controllers. Like, the joysticks, they were awful. The triggers were awful. They just feel so light and cheap. I mean, I think that the Xbox One controllers feel a lot better than the 360 controllers. I do feel like the quality is a little bit better, but it's just unfortunate that, like, everything just has gone down in quality. Guys, can't wait for the VCS. Can't wait for a hot VCS controller. Oh, it's gonna be great. Oh my gosh, can't wait. Can't wait for the VCS to not exist because it's not real. Guys, I gotta pre-order me a VCS. I want Grim, I want the Tar VCS controller. Who doesn't? Who doesn't? If only companies would listen to our needs, and no, they don't do that. I still need to get an original Xbox and mod it. Get one. They're not expensive. The Amico controller. Oh, beautiful. Love that so much. I don't know. I'm sick of these excuses from companies like, oh, we're saving the environment by giving you a cheaper product. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. It's just disappointing to hear so many companies like hype up their product and then it turns out to be garbage. It's disappointing, but all right, you guys. That was the end of the live stream for the night. I discussed the 4 topics that I wanted to discuss. Again, we do this every Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern. So next Monday, 8 p.m. Eastern, I will be doing another discussion stream. So if you guys want to join in then, that would be awesome. But that is the end of the live stream tonight. Thank you guys so much for stopping by. I very much so appreciate it. I will link Discord in the chat. If you are not already part of our Discord server, please join it. We chat there fairly often. There's quite a lot of us in there. If you do not already, please consider supporting the channel via Patreon and becoming a Dark Titan. The links are in the description of the stream. Thank you so much, Tony and Rhett, for your 2 donations tonight. I very much so appreciate them. But yeah, I will be in Discord if you guys want to chat. Also, make sure to check out today's video. If you did not see today's video on the Google Stadia controllers, it's 5 minutes of fun, okay? Maybe I've talked about Stadia a couple too many times now, but I think we can all get in one more laugh before the Stadia's fail of a launch. But thank you guys so much for stopping by. I appreciate it, and have a fantastic night, everyone.